This audio comes from Lori and Dustin Chandler. Lori and Dustin live in Northwest Georgia, USA, about 50 miles from Atlanta. This is what they had to say. An ice storm hit our area. Back in January 2011, we found a 10-inch footprint in our backyard, near our back porch. It looked like a naked human footprint, imprinted into the ice. Our area is kind of remote, and no one would be really able to have gotten down our road to make this print during the aftermath of this storm. Since then, we have had at least 10 sightings of different Bigfoot creatures. Among them is a 6.5-foot tall, reddish-brown, one with a black face, that was seen while a worker was repairing our floor. The workers didn't see him, thank God. Then there was another one that my husband confronted in the backyard. That one was 5.5 feet tall and looked like a hairy black guy. They are still around here to this day, and in an effort to make peace with them, we put food items in what we call a giving tree in our backyard. We have seen shadowy tall forms near this tree at night that have pinkish eyes. We have gotten numerous pictures of huge and small footprints around here, and have many tree structures in our backwoods. We have also written a book about our experiences entitled Visitors in the Twilight that chronicles many of our experiences here.
Lori and Dustin Chandler, they are witnesses. They have a lot of Bigfoot activity on their property, and they live down in Northwest Georgia, about 50 miles from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll be on in a little while. Do you have anything you wanted to talk about in the beginning of the show, Steve?
No, I just nothing in particular. What's that? Say it.
Have you been out Bigfooting?
No, but it's going to be exceptionally good weather this week, and I think I'm going to go. I've got, I think close to after tomorrow. I've got a good 6 days off, and I think I might go around the state a couple places. There's a couple places.
This is, great. This is great thermal weather. Are you going to go out with Todd and check out the woods? Do you still have leaves on the trees, by the way, up there?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah,
actually, it would be a good time of the year with the thermal, especially with all the foliage down and everything. I'm going to have to check in with him, see if he wants to hop out and go checking some areas out. No, but the last couple times I've been going out by myself. I kind of like going out by myself for the most part. It's kind of very enjoyable. You don't feel rushed. You kind of go at your own pace. You just kind of clunk around doing your own thing, and it's kind of nice not feeling rushed. I've only got a couple people I go out with that are kind of at my pace, so.
Well, if you ever ran into a Squatch again, what would you do? I mean, do you think you would just freeze up again, or do you think you might be able to handle it better?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, nicely back up and walk the other direction probably again. It's amazing as you think about that when you're out there walking around in the woods or looking around for signs and stuff like that. You're like, one of these times it just may happen again. One of these times it just might happen incidentally, and I'm not going to be prepared for it. It's going to be when I'm going to be preoccupied doing something else probably.
Do you remember if the wind was blowing that day that might have kept you from being heard or seen?
No, there was a light breeze in the air, but I mean it wasn't anything that was really remarkable whatsoever. No, but it's kind of hard to tell for whatever reason that Bigfoot didn't notice me for whatever reason walking across the top of the trail. Who knows? But can you? That's part of the reason. Once you have one sighting, I think it's kind of hard to. You just kind of feel like, maybe there's a possibility of generating a second one.
Yeah.
And you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going. Right. Well, let's see. When it first started, you're like, it's got to be pretty easy, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I ran across this thing. I mean, come on. This has got to be a cakewalk, But
right.
Oh well.
But didn't you say that if it had been a dark one, you might not have seen it at all?
Yeah, it's probably a good possibility. There's a good possibility probably that's the case. Yeah,
the
even though the foliage
is...
the full white one stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
So, well, we're going to bring her
down.
What's that? Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's bring Lori and Dustin on here. We won't talk our heads off anymore. Lori and Dustin, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Great.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. We really appreciate you filling in, and we'd love having you. And maybe next time we have you on, we'll give you a little bit more of time to get ready for this. But.
Oh, sure. We certainly appreciate you and inviting us onto the show. Very nice of you guys to do that.
All right. Well, why don't you start off, either one, this is Dustin and Lori, either one or both of you, actually, if you want to fill in for each other, tell us about how this all happened to you and when. When did the sightings start taking place?
Well, actually, I've been living at this location for over 10 years now, and I married Dusty. It's been in the late part of 2010, and it was like once we got married and he moved in. I mean, I had noticed before. I think that there, had been maybe a few noises, or I'd heard a few strange growls out of my bushes next to my house before my husband had moved in. But it was like after he came into the picture and everything, it's like everything kind of intensified. It was almost as if like whatever was out there was kind of intimidated or were challenged a little bit. And I just thought that was really strange. But we were pretty much, we in the late part of about October 2010, we would be laying in bed watching TV, and we would actually hear knocking on the wall right behind our head, and we're like, okay, well, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
And I'd just be laying in bed, and he would be asleep at the time. And all of a sudden, I would just hear this really whooping wail outside my window. Yeah.
Right.
And I heard something pound up the steps, and it sounded like it jumped off, the front steps. And even up until then, we weren't really sure what exactly was causing this, But
right.
In January of 2011, we had a big ice storm down here, and we went out the next day, and there was a 10-inch footprint in the ice next to our back porch. It was a naked print, and no one's going to be running around in that type of weather. That type of weather
right.
With a naked print, obviously. And it's funny. It was like only one that we found by the back porch. And
right.
Our area is very rural. It's very wooded. There are people that do live on our road. It's a dirt road, but we're all separated by trees and dense forest, patches of forest, and I live on. Actually, my property is about almost 6 acres, and behind our house is just nothing but wilderness, basically.
Right.
It just goes all the way back. It's really very good habitat for them,
Right. Is it hilly? Is it a hilly type of terrain?
It's a hill. It's hilly. It's densely forested down here. It's like a jungle during the summer. Yeah. You cannot see anything.
It's like a rainforest. It's actually a ridge that runs across the back of our house. I guess about 50 to 100 yards behind the house. There's a ridge that runs across the top of the property.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I was looking at your guys' description here. It's northwest Georgia, so that's going to probably have a decent amount of hills there, I would think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's fairly hilly, uneven terrain, and it's just, during the summer it's wisteria and kudzu vines and just briars and just everything. Our house has a very small clearing around it.
Right.
And we just kept hearing, noises and knocking on the wall. We're like, well, what in the heck's going on, And
yeah.
And then when did you see Junior or whatever? We've got so many. We've seen. My husband has seen them a lot more than I have. Many more sightings than I.
Before Dustin tells us about that, could you tell me, do you think a lot of this activity happened because you moved in and they used to have her to themselves?
I think a lot of it could have. I think that maybe they felt, like I said, they wanted a challenge. They wanted to challenge me, I guess, because, after her divorce, she was here by herself with just her and her son, and he would come and go as he pleases. So she was here a lot at night by herself, you know, and when I came into the picture, I do believe that may have kind of
been a catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a catalyst or something.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And Dustin, tell us about Junior. When did this happen? How long ago was this?
Oh,
February 2011.
Yeah, February 2011.
Yeah.
That was a daytime sighting, actually.
Wow.
We had some guys over here that were repairing a bathroom floor.
Uh-huh.
And they were outside cutting wood. And our dog, Tiger, that's another interesting story. We'll have to touch on that, too. He started barking in the backyard. And every time I'd hear him bark, you know, I'd go out the back to see what was going on. Because usually when he barks, they're usually around. That's mostly at night. But
right.
I went out the back door and went to the west of our house. Cause our house runs east-west along the back and front side of it.
Okay.
And so I went toward the west of the house, and it's like as Lori said, there's like a big wooded area right outside our yard there. And I guess about 75 feet from the west wall of the house, back up in the woods, watching these guys cut this wood out in the yard. I just saw, just Junior was just standing there, just watching these guys.
Right.
He never saw me. Not, I guess he didn't see me anyway. But he was standing there watching them. And as I watched him, you know, he slowly turned and went down on all fours and disappeared into the bushes.
He went on all fours and disappeared. Wow. And now, how did he get the name Junior? Have you been seeing him a while, or?
Well, like Lori said, we started giving him names every time we would see one. You know, the first one we called Big Daddy because Big Daddy was a big gray, and I guess he was about 12 feet tall, maybe.
You're kidding?
No kidding at all. I mean, you know.
We saw him outside the front porch. Yeah, and he was just there for an instant and just gone, you know. And, you know, obviously they don't hang around for very long, but Junior, he was about 6.5 feet tall. 7 feet tall.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And
so he was a young one, yeah.
He was what? Sorry?
He was a young one?
We think that he may have been, but we gave him the name because, you know, he was so big that, you know, we'll call him Junior or whatever. He had a black face.
Yeah.
And I was at work at the time. Unfortunately, I didn't see him, but he had a black face and rusty brown hair
with gold streaks or blonde streaks, I guess you call it.
Yeah, blonde streaks with black going through it or whatever.
Yeah.
And
my initial impression was just the most magnificent creature I think I've ever seen.
And was he heavily muscled?
Just nothing but a walking muscle.
Really?
I mean, just
wow.
huge.
And did you ever get a good look at Big Daddy? I mean, was he ever visible?
Big Daddy we've only seen in glimpses, and there weren't very many of those. Just one or two.
Yeah. I mean, they're just usually so fast. I mean, it's something like it's unnatural about them. They're just unnaturally fast. You know, I'm sure they could outrun a cheetah if they really wanted to, because we've seen them on 4 foot. You know, when they go down on all fours, something, you know, 4-footed, really running across our ridge. You know, it's like it's gone. It's there and it's gone. You know, they're that fast. You know, and I just don't know how they move that fast. I really don't.
Yeah. Is there anything special about your property that would cause them to want to come closer, or do you think they're just inquisitive, or do they eat? Do you have anything to eat around there that they could be eating, or is there any crops growing, or I mean?
We don't have any crops going around here, but we do have quite a number of cats that we feed, and we leave food out, you know, cat food all the time, you know, and we leave, you know, the dog food out in the backyard, and you know, we thought about that question too. What's really attracting them to the place? And it's obviously, it's food, but on another hand, I think that they're extremely curious about people also, especially the young ones.
Apparently, yeah.
I think that they just want to really see the hairless people sometimes,
Right.
because sometimes I think that they'll come and they'll bang on the back door and scare the daylights out of us.
Yeah.
And just a loud bang where they're coming bang on the wall. And what do? The next thing we do is we look out the door. So it's kind of like they have us trained to,
Right.
okay, if we bang on the walls, they're going to look out. We've got a good look at them,
Sure.
Yeah, I
mean,
think they're just really curious, too. And they know that, and another thing, they know that we are not, violent towards them. We have neighbors on either side of us who have just opened up with rifles and what sounded like a cannon one night. I swear to God, it must have been an elephant gun or something. But, it sounded like an explosion this guy was shooting over there. And then, my husband has been here by himself in the morning and heard that same neighbor just open up with like an automatic or something or another, and he'd hear heavy running feet going by our house, and they always seem to retreat over it because we basically kind of told them, if you think that, I think you can. I think they can understand what you're saying sometimes. If not your words, your manners or how you act.
Or how you act to get used to how you treat them. Yeah.
Yeah, and and they know that we don't shoot at them, so they feel. I think they feel safe over here. Basically, it's like a home base, kind of. And we're not going to shoot at them. And we don't want to see them hurt. We don't want to see them killed.
What was the first time you ever realized it was Bigfoot, and how did that make you feel when you realized you had Bigfoot around your property?
I think when we really came to that realization, it was when we found that footprint in the ice. And all the prints in the
Okay.
And there were a few of the prints in the ice on our driveway also, but mostly the really clear, demarked, unmistakable one next to our back porch. And like I said, no one was going to be out. Nobody could even get down our road to even play a trick on us, even if they wanted to. And we have nobody who really do that.
And who would do that anyway? I mean, that's crazy to do that anyway.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my son is a joker sometimes, but no, he's not going to go around putting footprints or anything like that, And it was just, we're just like,
so when did you,
like, okay.
When was your first actual sighting that made you realize that was a Bigfoot, that print was a Bigfoot print?
That was on a night, I don't remember the exact date, about a month after the ice storm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had got up and went to the kitchen, and where our back door is on our kitchen door there, it's got glass panes in it, and our dog Tiger was just laying out there, and I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. And I went back, I went to the kitchen to get a glass of water or some tea or something. I don't remember what it was, but like I said, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. And I went to the back door, and I looked out the door, and there's a tree that sits right across from our back door. And squatting down behind the tree, I could see this black figure just squatting there. I could see the back, the buttocks, the rear of the feet. And through the tree, like two forks in the tree, I could see arms going over her face.
Like he's expecting us to start blasting out the back door or something, and he's trying to hide.
And I start calling for Lori, but she's in the other room. She can't hear me, and I keep thinking to myself, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And if I leave, it's going to leave.
Right.
So, I took the chance, and I ran to the bedroom and got Lori, and by the time we got back, it was gone. So I think that's when I first actually realized that that's what it was.
So how did that affect you, knowing that you had these monstrous, hairy creatures living outside your house?
At first, it freaked me out, because
Oh, I'm still freaked out
yeah,
about
she still
it.
is.
I want to move out. I don't want to stay here.
Growing up as a kid, I always had that belief that that the foot was real, but I had never seen it.
Right.
I know it growing up as a kid. There was instance when I went to my sister's house in Clanton, Alabama, years ago. And they had the woolly booger, they called it. And you could hear it screaming up on the mountain behind their house. That was my first experience with foot.
Right.
But when I realized that, hey, they're in my backyard.
That's a freaky realization right there. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It's a feeling quite unlike you have ever experienced in your life when you realize that you're coming face, not quite face to face, but they are there.
Yeah.
And they come right up to the house, from time to time. And it's just, I still haven't gotten used to it. I think, it's very unnerving. We've kind of come to a sort of a truce about it with them.
Right.
But it's still that unearthly, unreal kind of thing that, you keep having to tell yourself, okay, is this really happening? Yeah,
right.
Unfortunately, it is happening,
I'm just amazed that some people get a chance to see these things, and you apparently are getting to see them a lot more than most. My co-host Stacy, saw one time, almost 3.5 years ago, I guess. And he's been trying to see one ever since again, just to make sure he really saw one the first time. It was so unnerving for Stacy that he was like, he was really scared.
It's very unbelievable. The first thing you ask yourself is like, am I really seeing this? Is that really there? Yeah, it's there. It's there.
Lori,
I think everybody's knee-jerk reaction to it,
Well, I was just going to ask both of them. I just was wondering what you guys thought. I mean, did you guys, when you saying it was the large one was 12 feet? Did you guys? I can't remember did you guys say anything? There was any reference that you went back and measured anything, or do you think it was 12 feet? Or
Actually, there was a reference that we used. Looking out our window, the head was just right above. Our porch is elevated off the ground. How would you say?
Probably about 6 feet.
About 6 feet off the ground, and then there's the rail that comes up. I guess another 3 feet from the porch, and the head was like well above that, touching right at the bottom of some bushes that were overhung. So
wow.
A measurement from the bottom of those bushes to the ground was about 11.5, 12 feet.
Somewhere that.
Could you tell how wide he was? I mean, like the shoulder width, or did you only see the head?
About all I could see was the shoulders and head and chest. But like Lori said, it was such a quick, fleeting glimpse. He was there,
right,
and then he was gone.
Yeah, to have a 12-footer outside your house, that's kind of scary. Having a 12-foot Sasquatch outside your house it would be pretty scary.
What are you talking about? Any Squatch standing outside your house? What are you talking about?
That's true. But I mean, 12-footer, that's like King Kong, yeah?
Sorry, go ahead, Lori. I apologize.
I'm sorry. We also have reason to believe that they did enter the house, at least one of them, one time.
Really?
Before. Did you want to tell them about that incident or whatever? Yeah. Oh my God.
What happened with that? That was, I guess, around 12:30 or 1:30 one morning.
When was this?
Oh,
this was over about a year ago, wasn't it? Probably about a year.
About a year.
That happened. Yeah.
Was it cold weather? Was it cold weather at the time, or was it warm weather? Or
it was. I think that was kind of like.
It was right.
Cold weather.
Yeah, it was. I don't know what month it would be. It was pretty cold outside, but I remember our son had moved back in with his girlfriend, and they were sleeping in another room on the other end of the house.
Right.
And we were in bed, and I was laying here listening to my police scanner,
and I was asleep.
And one was asleep, and our chihuahuas in the other room began. I mean, just like she was crying, almost barking, and crying, and screaming almost.
Right.
And in the kitchen, I heard a big boom. I don't know what it was, just a big loud noise. And then there was like heavy stomping in the other room in there. And like I said, the Chihuahua was just barking, running back and forth, and like she was just almost screaming. And I kept laying here listening, like, what in the world is that? You know, and then I got up after everything got quiet.
And, oh, yeah, when you heard something crack.
Yeah, I heard like dishes or something crash in the kitchen. And like I said, after everything got quiet, you know, I got up and opened the bedroom door real slow and looked out there and didn't see anything. And then I noticed a lunch pail that I had kept on a shelf about
that was about 8 to 10 feet
off
the ground.
10 feet off the ground on top of the shelf had been thrown in the floor. You know, so I walked out there real slow and looked in the kitchen and noticed the back door was standing wide open. And we had some like
recycling, empty cartons of cardboard boxes or just recycling.
The old food boxes.
Yeah.
And they were like thrown all over the floor and going out the back door,
leaving a little trail out the back door.
And you know, and then our son come out of his room, and I was like, "Was that y'all in here a few minutes ago?" And he was like, "No, I thought it was you," because they heard us stomping around also. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also said that they heard something come up to their bedroom door, and there's a bathroom door that's next to their bedroom door, and they heard them opening the door or whatever to the bathroom, and messing with stuff on the wall in the bathroom.
That's
and they
amazing.
Thought it was us. Yeah, they thought it was us, and we thought it was them, and we're like, okay. You know, you kind of have to put two and two together, and it's like, you know, if it was a human intruder, you know, they would have been grabbing TVs and radios or whatever. You know, that's my fair assumption of it. You know, and all they were looking for, it seemed like, was just food. You know, moving around the kitchen, and when they heard Dusty get up, they took off running. You know, but
did
Dusty
you forget
came back
to feed the cats that day or something? Maybe there wasn't any cat food out. Maybe there wasn't any cat food out there for them or something like that. You know?
I don't think we had any cat food on the back porch at that time.
I don't think we did, no. Or either the cats had eaten it all before they had a chance to get to it. Yeah.
Right.
And our dog would routinely be let off the chain. Also, he's on a runner chain, and we would put the if you've ever seen them, those little C-lock screw things, or where you have to kind of latch the chain onto the C-lock and then screw it in place. We'd put several of those into place, and he would. We'd come out and we'd find it. We'd come home from from being in town, and he'd be out running around like an idiot.
Really?
And C-locks would have been totally unscrewed. I mean, at least 2 of them. And then he stole one of them. We had 2 of them one time, a red and a green one, C-lock attached to his collar, and one of the C-locks went missing, and you heard that commotion out in the backyard that one night. That was probably about a year ago or so, and you went outside and you saw
we went out, like I said, back down toward the west end of the house again, back in the bushes up on the ridge. You know, there was like a dark figure that was just knelt down. And we have at night, we got the only light we have is our front porch light. Or the only light that we did have was our front porch light and our back porch light at the time.
We put up more lights since then.
And you could see, just a silhouette kind of knelt down behind the bush because of the lighting that was out there.
Right.
And I started just talking to it, just kind of easy talking to it, almost, I guess, coddling to it, I guess, like baby talk. And this red sea-hawk just come flying through the air and landed at my feet.
Yeah, and I was watching from the kitchen window, and I'm like, I yelled out the door. I'm like, what is that? I saw something land by your feet, and he's like, well, you won't believe it. It's the missing C-lock that we've been looking for, the red one.
He wanted to give it back to you. He stole it. He felt bad.
Yeah, well, it was bent up. It's like it was bent in such a way that no human could really do that. It just.
Right.
I mean, it was just bent completely out of shape, basically.
Hey, Lori, sorry, Chuck, were you going to go? I just
No,
wanted
no,
to,
good stuff.
I wanted to ask you before we got any farther. There was two questions I did have from the chat room. One, on the 12-foot estimate with the larger creature. Sorry to go back to that, but how close was it to the banister or the outside of the porch for your reference?
Standing right next to it.
Right next to it. Okay.
Right
And
next to it.
And I've got Digger in the chat room wants to know if when they came in the screen door, did they have to turn a handle or just push it?
It wasn't a screen door, it was just the back door, and he just snatched it open.
Yeah, it opens outward, and we had locked it, and apparently it was just snatched open. They're just that strong.
Yeah, because the door was still locked. When
Yeah,
I
it
checked
was
it.
Oh,
locked,
wow.
yeah.
Huh. Hey, tell me this. Have you ever tried to get a picture of one of these things? Have you ever put out a camera or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
More than once.
Definitely, more than once. We put up trail cams before. We've had two of them actually going at one time, and facing one another. And when we first put them up, we'd do just one at a time, and we caught the image of actually it's what you call I guess your classic blob squatch.
Right.
A figure in the backyard that kind of looks like it's leaping away from the back porch. At first glance, you would think it's a dog in a fast blur motion, but we enlarged the picture and we did see that it has a face on it that looks very much like a simian face, a monkey face on the actually the blob squatch picture.
Right.
But that's the funny thing about the trail cams is that after that we really didn't get hardly anything. It was like, okay, they were on to our game with of course with the trail cameras, and they avoided them basically.
They avoided your place after that.
I'm sorry, what?
They avoided your place after that?
Well, no, they would avoid the trail cams where they couldn't get a picture
okay.
of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing is that we started putting food up in what we call a giving tree in our backyard because we just wanted to make peace with them, kind of.
Right.
So we would also put two trail cams focused in different angles right at that tree.
Right.
And we'd go out the next morning and check both of the trail cams, and of course nothing's wrong with them. The batteries were fine on both of the cameras. However, there's missing time on those cameras in between, like 6 o'clock when we put them up, and like, for example, 6 o'clock the next morning, it would record nothing. There would be blanks. And when it should have been something recorded out there on both of the cameras, not just one.
Yeah, both were facing the tree and facing each other. So regardless of whether one got a picture, the other one would.
Well, it should have.
But
or if it was just a regular animal, the food would be taken out of the tree. If it was just a regular animal, obviously it would have caught it, basically.
Yeah, because we've got pictures of possums and stuff like
and
that.
we would set it for like a fast interval of 3 pictures. Boom, boom, boom. For if something triggered it, and then the next minute it wouldn't take any pictures, but we had it on a fast trigger, and it should have gotten something. But there would be blank spaces. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, if something had hung something in front of the lens on the camera, would that have done the same thing? I mean, would it just not take any pictures at all? And maybe is that something that could have happened? Could they have hung something in front of the camera? Both cameras so that they could get the food?
Getting to that, as a matter of fact, there were a couple of shots that we got off one of the system cams. It looked like a finger had been put in front of the lens.
Yeah,
wow.
like they knew they were going to, they were trying to trigger it, so they just put their finger in front of it or something. It looked like a finger, actually, and then it would trigger it, and then it seems like they knew, okay, we can get the food, and it's not going to take a picture of us.
This drives me
how smart is
crazy.
that? How intelligent is that,
I know, it just drives me crazy how they know what a camera is. How do they even know what a camera is living out in the woods?
Well,
you know?
this isn't anything we haven't heard before, though. You know, so at least they're consistent. You know, no matter where you go.
Right. But you know, a thumb
Yeah,
that one of them holds their thumb against the lens while everybody goes and eats. You know, I mean that's crazy stuff.
Yeah, he gets to trigger off and take a few pictures, and then he knows it's not going to take
for another couple minutes.
For about another minute. We hit it on a minute.
Sure.
And you know, they can go and get it, and they're gone. You know,
Is there any way you can? Is there any way you can put a camera somewhere where they can't see you put it up? I mean, where they can't monitor it or see it? You know, like on the porch or under the house, or I don't know.
We have tried that. The first time we put the camera up, we actually did put it on the porch facing down in front of the house, where they used to run up and down. Now we did get a picture of just an.
It looked like maybe the slope of a shoulder, but it was an infrared shot, you know, that it was so close to the lens that whatever it was, that it just basically all we could see, it just whited it out, and there's just a slope of a head and shoulder, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's about all anybody gets, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, it's very frustrating. So, you know, it's like after a while we just kind of gave up with the trail cams because we figured it kind of, I mean, you know, it's like we're not really going to get anything. They know how to somehow turn them off. I don't know how they're doing it. We would actually lock the cameras with a nylon, you know, like what do you call it? Zip locks. Zip locks. Yeah. And the cameras would still be turned off somehow. They would be deactivated. I don't know how they're doing that.
No, I don't remember if you said anything before. Do you guys have a second story house? Is that what you said earlier? I don't recall.
No, we don't. It's actually it's a double wide mobile home, but it's a little. Yeah, it's about 5 feet off the ground in the front.
Well, I just always wondered because you know, in situations like this, it'd be really great maybe in a second floor window or something facing the woods. Maybe one of those time lapse cameras would be a better option. You know, at least you get something. You wouldn't get something. You'd probably be kind of on the blurry side. You probably wouldn't get much detail, but you'd at least see something moving. You know, especially I don't know how much foliage you guys have down this time of year. If you've got more. Your area is more piney, or I don't know how much foliage you've got up from some of the other trees, but I don't know. I'm just thinking I was just trying to grasp at straws here because it's like it seems like everybody you're pretty much experiencing pretty much the same thing a lot of other people do.
Yeah.
That's what we've heard too. They're very intelligent. They're smarter than the average.
Where do they get that? Where do they get that intelligence, though? I mean, where do they get the knowledge? If they were intelligent, though. Who tells them about cameras? That's what I want to know.
Well, we do have our theories about that, but we don't really want to discuss that too much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think they want to lock us up in a loony bin anyway. You know. But,
well, you know, I've heard them before. I've heard those theories before too. So I understand that. I understand how you feel about that. But you know, that's the thing you go to when you can't explain something. You have to go there, you know. So
sometimes, you know, it's like, okay, well, you know, possibly they could have figured that out. They're so smart on their own, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's you know, they know how to. We're pretty sure they know how to manipulate the locks on our. We have an outside cage for our cats. That you know, we keep some of our cats in an outside dog room and convert them into a large cage and to keep them away from, you know, keep the dogs away from that come around here sometimes. And we've gone in that cage before, and you know it's just like we'll find like fingerprints on the roof of it, on the bottom, you know, of it.
Right.
And you know, it obviously knows how to open up the door and know the latch in there. And we've hung a heat lamp. You know, we'd hang it up high. Actually, during the summer, we would put it up high and not really use it except for illumination in the pen. But lately, since it got to be cold weather, we've been finding it kind of taken off its latch and hung down close to the cat.
Wow.
You know, so it's like, okay, well, are they trying to be a little helpful here? and it was hung to where, you know, the cats couldn't knock it down.
You sure they aren't trying to fuck the cats?
Well, I don't know. They've had some run-ins with the cats around here. You want to tell them about what happened with?
Oh yeah.
That was hilarious.
We had a cat who was unfortunately passed on now, but his name was Black Boy. Well, we called him Black Boy. But
Right.
one night, we were laying in bed and we heard this. We heard him. He just started going off and it was yeah, and it sounded like a buzzsaw almost.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we go to the back door, and I stick my head out the back door, and right to the side of the house here, all I can hear is Black Boy just going off like I said, like a buzzsaw. But you can hear also this stomping, and this thing just going
like something's jumping
yeah,
up
just
and
jumping up and down, and you hear ooh, 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 ooh.
So
The cat comes flying out from beside the house, and then you just hear all this stomping and running off through the bushes.
Yeah,
Right.
so we think that they may have seen us out in the yard picking up the cats and loving on them, and they figured, oh, that's a nice little, cute little cat there. I think I might want to pet that one. Oh, no, I don't think so. Yes, the buzzsaw. Okay, the cat didn't really I don't think he was trying to harm the cat.
Yeah.
I think they were actually trying to kind of interact with them and maybe pet them. They'd seen that we had took them out in the yard, and he, if he obviously wanted to hurt him, he could have killed him easily, but I think he was trying to actually maybe pet it, and he just picked it up and was like, okay, crap, cat doesn't like me too much.
Because that's
Right.
something that we have noticed since all this has been going on. None of our animals have ever been hurt by these things, ever.
No.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, whether they had taken any of the cats.
We're pretty sure that they have never hurt any of the animals around here. Now, we've had dogs, the neighbor's dog come over here, and we've known them to kill some of our cats, but, I mean, we're pretty sure, as far as we can be, that they haven't injured any or harmed any of our animals.
How about your neighbor? Do you have a neighbor that has goats?
He had goats. And he had chickens.
Yeah.
Now, did he lose the goats? Did they eat the goats or chickens or anything like that?
Whether they ate them or not, we don't know. But we know for a fact that right down in the clearing below the house here, on the other side of the power line easement, is where he had his goats pinned up.
Right.
And we would hear the goats, on a continuous basis, and we'd hear the chickens over there in the chicken houses that he had. And then all of a sudden, he would be shooting at something at night,
Right.
or whatever, and then the goats would just disappear. There'd be no more goats there.
Yeah. And
Right.
also, we did have a local newspaper guy come out and interview us also back in, I think, 2011.
Yeah.
And he did go next door and talk to this neighbor, and the neighbor told him, he said, I've seen stuff that I really can't explain, and also I've been, come out of the woods on our property, and he said he'd been losing goats, and he'd been losing goats and chickens.
Well,
So,
that's probably why he's shooting away over there.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've actually gone outside when we've heard the shooting going on. I mean, you would think out here in the country it'd be quiet. No, I don't think so. But we'd hear the shooting going on, and we'd hear them yelling, "Oh no, he's not dead yet! There he went!" So we're like, "Who went where? Who are they talking about? Who are they shooting at?"
Have you ever talked to him about it?
No, we actually never went over there and talked to him at all.
Yeah, we've thought about it, but we're like, well, I don't know. They might shoot at us. I don't know. Yeah, but like I said,
I've heard them eating, livestock before. Not big livestock, but like goats and chickens and stuff like that. I've heard about them stealing those before all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've heard about that too, and there are numerous food sources around here. There's
and water sources.
And water sources. There's a chicken house, right? Chicken. Well, I don't know. They grow the chickens down the road from us. A chicken house, and there's people around here who have horses and cows. I'm sure they have, the horse feed that, they'll probably go after, or the goat feed, or the goats themselves, and I mean, there's just, and lots of people around here with pets, put out food. So, they kind of like it around here. It seems like it's a reliable food source for them, so they seem to kind of hang around,
Did you, by any chance, when Finding Bigfoot came down there, did you ever try to get a hold of them to check out your place or anything like that, or did you not want them there?
Well, we called BFRO. I'll let Lori tell you that story.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah. That was the first. Those were the first people that we called, was BFRO.
Uh-huh.
And they did send, someone down to, it was a lady. They sent her down, and she spent the night, and she kind of walked over the property. And in the morning, it's like, yeah, we think that maybe you've got something going on. And then that's the last we hear from them. And I actually called Matt Moneymaker himself, and I spoke to him, and I'm like, well, you guys, if you're kind of looking for him, I'm pretty sure you'd probably find him here if you guys kept coming back.
Right.
Well, we might, we've got other things we got to do. So that was the last we heard of them.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just like, we're flabbergasted, okay? We're telling you, okay, we're seeing these things. We're not lying about this.
We don't have to find them. They're here.
They're here. They found us. And
hey,
he wants to go off, holler in the woods.
And bang on trees.
Yeah.
Now, we have, do you remember Scott Carpenter?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a friend of the show, and has he called in yet, Stace?
Well, let me look here. Yeah, I believe he may have here. Well, no, actually, no, this is not his area code, it doesn't look like here. Let me see who this is on the phone line here. 301 area code, you're on the air.
That's Maryland.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My name is Mark. I'm here in Maryland. I'm just listening, but I'm a big fan of the show. So, Chuck, do you ever do research here in Maryland?
No, I wish I could, buddy.
There's
turn your radio down.
I'm sorry. There's been some recent sightings by some people I know. Route 97, Georgia Avenue, which starts in D.C. and takes you straight out Maryland up into Pennsylvania, Gettysburg.
Do you live in Calvert County, St. Mary's County, somewhere around there?
No, I live here in D.C., but I have friends that live out in Carroll County, and there's sightings up there. And
I know.
Recently, a friend of mine saw one, and she told me about it. And then I looked over some of the things I've seen on YouTube, and I don't know if you're familiar with Victor Pisa.
No.
Research out of Arizona.
I may have talked to him, but I don't remember the name.
Right. He had a pretty good photo, and I showed my friend that photo, and she gasped and said that's exactly what she saw. And so I posted that on Facebook, and a little story about what my friend saw, and sure enough, I got response from people that said they seen the same thing in the same area.
Right.
And it's pretty hot there somewhere in central Maryland. I don't want to give the exact location. It's around the Carroll County area.
Yeah, I know. I know where you're talking about.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to interrupt your show. I just came on to listen, but since
well, just hang in there, buddy, and I'm glad to hear you're from Maryland. It's good to have you.
There's some things happening here. There are some
things.
I
know. Hey, look. Come back, call again, okay? We'd love to talk to you.
Okay.
All right. Hang on the line. You can listen.
I will listen.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay, if you see his area code, just bring him on when you see it.
Okay. Yep.
Scott Carpenter told me that he went down to check your place out, and he said he found prints up in the eaves at the 12-foot level. 12 feet above the house, and he thought there was a lot of activity around your place.
We do remember him coming down and everything, and it's like about the first thing that happened when he got here is that there was like a sonic whistle that kind of
Right.
it kind of sounded like, off in the woods, and I'm like, well, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, I think I heard that, but yeah, but it was almost as if they were like telling each other, okay, yeah, there's human researchers on the property, yeah, we can't miss this, okay.
Right.
So it's like they were warning each other. But anyway, yeah, he did find some prints up on the higher level of our eaves of our house, and he also found like an X scratched into the siding, and we didn't even know what that was there. He had to show it to us, and we were just amazed. Okay, who's writing X's on the side of our house, and what does that mean? I hope it's something good.
Okay,
Hey,
Scott's in the queue.
Yeah, I got him in the queue, but I want to get to one question real quick before I put
go
Scott
ahead.
on. Flycatch from the chat room wanted to know earlier if you had heard that another researcher had found a Bigfoot, what they thought was a Bigfoot den in Carroll County. Do you know where that's at?
No, I never heard that. Who said that?
Flycatch in the chat room.
And where did he hear it? Where did he see it?
It says it doesn't say. It just says another researcher found a Bigfoot den. Is there a Carroll County down next to them? They're not talking to Carroll County where you're at.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you have a Carroll County down in Georgia?
Yeah, that's exactly where we live in Carroll County.
Yeah, we're in
Okay,
Carroll
gotcha.
County,
Oh, okay.
Georgia.
Gotcha.
Have you ever heard that of a dead Bigfoot?
No.
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 Bigfoot den.
Oh,
Bigfoot den.
dead. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. God, I heard dead.
No, actually, I have not. Matter of fact, I haven't heard any more Bigfoot news from around here, as a matter of fact.
But you do. Dusty does have a police scanner. It's a digital scanner, and he listens to it. Or actually, we listen to it a lot, and we've gotten a lot of curious reports from the police by listening to these things of people saying they've seen something trying to break into their house. It was a large, dark, and hairy.
Wow.
And we've even had what was that recent report? Actually, it was an off-duty policeman called. He was at his home, and he was calling his buddies. Hey guys, you need to come over to my house right away because there's this really tall, black-looking thing standing in my backyard. Can you guys get here really quick? And of course, by the time they get there, it's gone.
Right.
So but we've heard. I mean, we compiled a list of actually of all these calls that could be related to Bigfoot. To foot activity in our immediate area. Also in Heard County, Haralson County, which is to the north of us, and Heard County, which is to the south, and also Douglas County. There was a lady that reported to the police that she saw 2 monkeys playing in her front yard.
Had them on a security camera.
Had them on a security camera, and that's that's about 30 miles to the east of us.
Yeah.
So they're all over the area.
Bring Scott on anytime, and while we're talking to him.
Yeah, I want to.
Tell me, is there any way of finding out who that lady was that got them on the security camera, the monkeys, that she thought were monkeys?
Not unless you went through the sheriff's office and 911 in Douglas County. That's all of that. Only way I know.
I was just wondering if you could possibly call them and ask them if that's public, knowledge. If you can get, find out who that was.
It would be. It has to go to the public, to the I don't know what that's called. Public records information thing. That have to request one of those.
Yeah, if you could find out who it is and go. Yeah, if you could do that and let us know. Call in and let us know if you do find anything about that, because I'd love to know if that's available to be seen.
Have you
see what I can do.
Have you guys have any of your encounters? Have you guys called the police or made a police report on any of your encounters at all?
No, actually we haven't. We really haven't, because we're like, okay, by the time they get out here, from what we've heard, they're going to be gone anyway, and they don't seem to be really. They don't seem to be really threatening. Just kind of annoying sometimes. What the activity is.
How about when they
So-
came in the house?
Yeah, except for, yeah, that's right, except for the time they did come in the house. And we did think about calling, the police, but we're like, okay, well, whatever it is, it's gone now. Hopefully it's not going to do that again. Well, I mean, we put up more lights and, around the property ever since that happened, but...
Right.
Yeah, but no, we thought about it, but we're like, okay, what can they do? They're just going to say, oh, there's nothing around here. He's gone. And then they just leave. How can they, how can they really help?
Yeah, it pretty much, you're just basically putting yourself on crazy radar anyway at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's exactly what they would think. So, and I think, probably a lot of these other people, they probably had stuff happen around here, and they're probably thinking the same thing. But, there was another call that came in that I think, what was it you listened to? It was the sheriff who, I don't know, actually on our same road. Yeah.
That was a deputy sheriff that was called out to a house right down the road from us, and he was, lady had reported hearing sounds in her backyard. Out in the woods.
8 screams.
8 screams in her backyard.
Sound like 8 screams, yeah.
And when the officer got there, there was wood knocking and stuff in the backyard. He was on the radio. And he needed backup because there was something in the woods and he wasn't going out there.
It sounds like that the area around where you live is just jam packed with Bigfoot. I mean, it just seems like everybody has activity, and these things are hungry. I mean, they're looking for food wherever they can get it.
Well,
yeah.
it looks like Northwest Georgia is
I don't know if it's, excuse me, I don't know if it's jam packed with Bigfoot, but I know that we've seen enough to know that there's a few around here that it possibly could be a family group maybe.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And they could just be traveling around.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Very
Is
possible.
Scott on the line?
Yeah, I'm going to bring Scott on, and you guys, I'm actually going to bring on somebody that lives fairly close to you, a gentleman by the name of Chris Barr. Do you know who that is?
No, I've never heard of him.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he's
Bring up
somehow.
on.
Yeah. Scott, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, guys.
Hey. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
I can vouch for these folks, considering I live a little over 20 miles away from them. And we hear and have seen things around our house that we know we're pretty sure that are what we call bigs.
Right.
We've had them last night at 10:30. We had one come running through the creek down here below our house and started doing the real loud siren scream. Here's my wife.
We've heard that before.
Yeah. And see, we live in Villa Rica, just right down the road from you guys.
Oh, yeah, we've heard some police reports from up in Villa Rica. Yeah, definitely. Up there near Haralson County, yeah. Temple,
yeah. Yeah, and we have them around here. We hear them all the time around hunting season. Starts around the middle of October and goes through about February. They come up and down the creeks and come off the hardwood ridges and stuff. And
have you ever tried to record them with just audio recorders or anything like that when they scream?
We tried one time, but it was the creeks here are probably 60 yards, the closest one.
Right.
And you can barely hear it when you do it on audio, on audio and stuff.
Just like the one I've got.
I barely hear it. I believe that. Do you guys have a big power line right away that's real wide behind your house?
Right close to our house. Yes.
Yeah, see, I think that's the same power line right-of-way that runs all the way through to Highway 20.
That's the one I think it is also.
I think they work that power line back and forth.
Oh, boy, we should put some trail cams on that power line somewhere, hide them somewhere along that.
Yeah, there are people around these farms that are always shooting at stuff at night. The dogs are always going crazy.
Yeah, that
heard,
was that. Yeah, that was this evening around here. I mean, it's like at a certain time. A lot of times the dogs will, all the dogs in the neighborhood will start going crazy.
Man, I'd
Yeah.
like to meet you so we can compare some stories.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some, we heard one night for a good 20 minutes it sounded like a woman being killed out in the woods. I mean, it was one of the worst sounding things we've ever heard.
Well, how can we get you guys together? How can we get you guys together? Do you know how to contact? Do either one of you want to give out an email address or anything like that? Or
that's fine.
Sure. I can give out my email address, and anybody is welcome to really email me. That's fine.
all right. Well, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you give it out and just slowly say it so people could write it down? And hold on, and try to write it down, Mr. Barr.
Yes, it's Lori, Lori, Bossert, B as in boy, OSSERT @gmail.com.
Okay, I just gave Stacy my email. I'll go ahead and say it. It's C as in...
Hang on one second. Would you like to go? All right, go ahead.
Actually, you could go ahead.
It's C as in Charlie, P as in Patrick, Barrington, BARRINGTON, at yahoo.com.
Okay, can you...
And if you guys didn't get that, I'm just telling you, the show will be archived tomorrow, and you can just listen to the show and get it again. But let me see if we got it right. Is it C.P. Barrington, BARRINGTON?
Correct.
C.P. Barrington at yahoo.com.
Yahoo.com, yeah. Yeah.
And what was your name again?
It's Chris.
What was your name again?
Chris.
Oh, Chris. Oh, okay.
Chris, C-H-R-I-S.
Got it. Well, Chris, it's nice to hear from you and to have somebody confirm what we've got going on around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the newspaper write-up on you guys, and I read something else that was in, I think it was Strange, Georgia.
Oh, yeah, they did it in Brown side of Georgia, too.
Yeah, and my wife and I we were just kind of laughing because it's just right down the road, and I've looked on the maps and stuff, and it seems like it might be the same group that just runs up and down the area.
It probably is. We think that they follow, like some sort of migratory food trail sometimes, returning often to areas where they feel like they're safe, especially, a safe place for the young ones. We've actually found small footprints out there next to larger footprints. So, there's family growth obviously around here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's
sure is. I agree with you.
Well, Chris, you can just hang on if you want. And Scott, do you have any questions for him? Did you want to?
No, I just want to say I had a pleasant trip. Wish I could return down there. It's just so far from where I'm at to down there. But we had a good time, and they kind of showed me around the place, and it's a to use a Bobo thing. It's a squatchy area, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very squatchy in this area.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's funny about it is I just came back from my family hunting camp, and our family hunting camp is about 40 minutes outside of Athens, Georgia, which is on the east side of Georgia, and we have them there at the hunting camp.
Oh, wow.
We've actually seen them come to the gut piles at night after we've cleaned our deer and see the eye shine, had them come around throwing rocks at our campers, doing the talking in the woods at 2 and 3 o'clock. And it sounds, we had one that, Yeah, we had one last year. We all walked out of the camper to go to the burn barrel and light a fire and sit by the fire. And we had one run away. We heard it run away, and it did the absolute perfect Native American war cry as it was running away that you could ever hear. And we all stopped and was like, wow, we have Indians. Wait a minute.
Right.
There are no such thing as Indians no more. And as
well, Scott has heard that, too.
We've heard that, too.
Yeah.
We've heard that,
Yep,
too.
we've heard the war cries also.
Yep. I mean, this is, I used to live up in Helen, Georgia also, and Helen, Georgia, up around North Georgia mountains up in there, it's full of them too. And that's where BFR went, and they went finding Bigfoot and stuff, which doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
And Scott, just jump in anytime if you have a question for anybody.
Okay.
But
anyways,
I've heard that.
Your show, guys. I just wanted to call in and kind of vet these.
Well, you know,
this
Chris,
nice couple.
Chris, just hang in there, buddy. You can just jump in whenever you want to if you want to contribute. You're from down there. You're not that far away, and if you don't mind just listening on, or if you don't have to, but if you don't mind hanging on, that would be great.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Okay, good. Can you guys remember any other really interesting sightings? Have you ever had one come up to the window and see him actually in the window while you were sitting in the house?
I got one better than that. How about a face outside the backyard?
You're kidding.
This happened. No, and it was the freakiest thing I've ever had happen in my life. This was on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, how long ago was that, you think?
Not this last summer, but the summer before that, yeah.
And it was like misting rain outside, and the dog went off. And I went to the back door, and he was off his chain.
As you
and running around barking. And I kind of leaned out the back door, and I thought what I saw was a little black bear.
Right.
Going back up. So me, not thinking, I run outside in my underwear, just nothing but underwear on, And I guess about 25 feet in front of me, going up this trail, is Bigfoot, a Bigfoot, a young one, I guess, about 5'5", built like a linebacker. And he's just kind of walking away, shuffling, looking behind him real quick.
Yeah, he's walking on two legs also, yeah.
And then he goes behind a tree. And he's sitting there, he gets leaning off behind the tree, looking at me. That I've got the dog by the collar, holding him. And Tiger's barking real crazy, it's like he wants to get to this thing. And I start talking to him, like, come on out, come on out. We can talk, we can be friends. Come on out, let's talk, just kind of real easy talking. And he keeps looking behind the trees, looking at me, just leaning over and looking at me. And then when I start talking, the dog starts thinking I'm talking to him, so he's licking on me, trying to jump on me. I'm pushing him down. And I'm like, Tiger, get away. Talking to him again. Come on out, let's be friends. Come on out now, let's talk. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to run away.
Right.
And, the more I look at him, the more he keeps looking at me. And the more I keep talking to him, the more Tiger's barking at him and then jumping on me when I talk to him. And so finally, Tiger breaks loose in my hand, and I reach down to grab Tiger, and when I look back up, this thing is like tearing up the side of the hill, just running as fast as it can.
Right.
Tiger and
And then Tiger just takes off after it.
Wow. That is amazing. Oh, God, that is... Tell me this. Why do you think he lets the dog off the chain? Do you think he can get closer to your house with the dog off the chain? Do you think the dog runs away? Or, I mean, it seems like it's the dog wants to chase after them, but I don't understand why he'd want to let him off the chain.
I think initially they were letting him off so they could get to the dog food.
Oh,
but
okay.
Like I said, we think it's younger ones that are letting him off, and they're playing with him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
When he gets off the chain, the first place he goes is back deep into the woods.
Yeah.
So, they're not hurting the dog, and he's out playing with him. My God. That's amazing
that's what
to me.
we're thinking, that, that they kind of let him off the chain so they can play chase or something. because we would come home and Tiger would be just worn out. I mean, like you said, running, and he's happy. He's not scared. He's playful and everything. And it's almost like, okay, you can put me back on the chain now. I've played with my friend. We played chase or something. So, we're just, it's just amazing.
I've heard them killing dogs. I've heard them eating dogs. I've never heard. I mean, I don't think I've heard them playing with dogs before.
My theory on that is it depends on the dog. Tiger is a lovable. That's all he is. He's just a stupid, lovable mutt.
Yeah.
His bark is worse than his bite at times. Yeah. And I think they realize that because he's never been aggressive except, the only time he's ever been aggressive is, I guess, he barks loud, and that's about it. I don't guess it's really aggression.
Uh-huh.
We do know that when the bigger ones come around, he will whine and cry. He's dug himself a hole, and he just lays down in the hole as deep as he can get when he's down, and he won't move. He'll stay in that hole all night long.
Right.
Yeah, whining and crying.
Well, Chuck, there have been reports of Bigfoot having other animals that people have seen as pets. I've heard of reports like that.
I remember one report out of Minnesota where a guy saw a Bigfoot going across the field with about 6 dogs following him. And I remember that. That's the only time. And I was just wondering, were these dogs going to their doom or what? But it just seems like they were all having a good time together. So that might be true. But I've heard of also dogs getting killed all the time. I hear that a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we think it just depends on if the dog is aggressive toward them and they deem it's a threat. Then they'll probably take him out. But I mean, we used to have a pit bull, the neighbor's pit bull, that used to come around here, and we think that would kill cats. And after a little while, we didn't see that dog anymore. So we're thinking, they may have taken him out.
Right.
But I don't know if you've ever read 50 Years with Bigfoot by Mary Green. I know that book is very controversial, but in that book she does relate that there was one that a female Bigfoot that would come up and actually pet their beagle and just love their beagle, but it hated the other dogs.
Did she tell you that, Scott? Do you ever remember her talking about that? Because Scott had talked to her. He's been at her house.
Yeah, no, it had, they liked, most of the time it was just kind of like if the dog was friendly and they liked the dog, everything was cool. They also liked the horses and the goats. They used to be bad about taking the goats, and of course they were wanting to eat the goats. And I think that they had a tussle. I think her grandfather and one of them had a little disagreement about the goats. And they would also, pet the horses and were real friendly toward the horses.
Well, apparently they like Scott's dogs too, because they come up and eat their dog food, eat his dog food all the time, right, Scott?
Yeah, we heard that.
They're friends with my dogs. My dogs don't give me trouble. When I've had the digital voice recorder on the back and they come up on the back deck, you can hear the dogs, doing the greeting stuff. It sounds like I just stepped up on the, the back porch the way that they're acting and the kind of bark they give. It's a greeting, and they just calm right down, and the big guys do what they want to do. They don't, they don't bother them whatsoever.
This is just so wild. These stories just drive me crazy that these Bigfoot can, they can get along with dogs, and they take dog food off people's porches, and nobody can get a damn picture of one of them. It just drives me nuts.
Hey, Chuck,
it drives us too that we can't get a real good picture of them.
Right.
We actually had another researcher come out here from Georgia Bigfoot Society. His name is Steve. And while we were walking around back on the property, I was taking, just digital pictures of some of the tree structures and branch structures that, are just unnatural back there. They look like they've been constructed. So
Right.
anyway, when I was taking a picture of one of the teepee structures we have back there, we took the pictures back and we looked at them very closely later, and we found that those faces looking back at us in the background.
Right.
Apparently they were out there. There's one that looks like, I don't know if you've ever seen Vincent out of Beauty and the Beast, that old TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
We named that one Vincent because he really looks a lot like Vincent, you know, in blown-up picture. And the face exhibited bilateral symmetry, eyes, nose, definite nose, you know, and it wasn't just bushes or anything when we blew it up. And
Right.
and it didn't look like to me or dusty, and it had a gray face, and it had grayish hair, which is consistent with some of the others we've seen, and kind of darkish eyes. And the really disconcerting thing about it is that, you know, it seemed to be watching me from about 120 feet away, maybe.
Right.
And then there was another picture that I took. There seemed to be one that we found, a different one that was closer, actually, and this one had a dark face and was smaller. And we named this individual Zuni. But it seemed to be peeking out between two trees at me.
It sounds like you have a lot of juveniles around your property, more than the big ones, right?
Well, I actually, from what we find many footprints, and they're all different sizes. We actually have started to see some really big ones, about 25 inches long and about 10 inches across. I'm not kidding. We got photos. Yeah, we have photos of them, and this one was found outside our bedroom window not too long ago. So I'm not real too happy about that. So.
Well, that I'm telling you, folks, that is a giant. I mean, that is over 12 feet. I tell you. The biggest I ever heard of was 22 or 23 inches out of the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, and I think it was out of Washington State, I think, and 25 inches. I guarantee. Yeah, and I've heard that before, by the way, from other researchers in Georgia that we've had on the show that have mentioned that. That is a big one. Hey, Scott, I interrupted you. What were you going to say? Scott?
Oh, me? Oh, I thought.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I got a question with Lori and
go ahead.
Dustin, do you still have is the little one still running across your roof at night? I know when I went down there, you were having trouble with that little guy. There was one that tried to get on the roof and run loud, keep you away.
No, we haven't heard it in quite some time. We kind of got to the point where we were kind of yelling at it to stop, and apparently it is not. It hasn't done that in a while.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we would just hear something that sounded like in the neighborhood of about 50 or 75 pounds, just running like a horse on our roof, and then all of a sudden, sometimes it would stop and take deliberate footsteps like a human, also. And I would actually hear it run across the roof, and then I'd hear it jump off and hit the ground. It would make such a loud noise when it hits the ground and run off, you know, in the backyard when I was, you know, just laying in bed. So, you know, and there was another report of someone else in about 10 miles away from where we live in Whitesburg. A lady called the police, and she complained about children being on her roof at about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
She said, she said she complained to the police that, I have children running around up on my roof at 11 o'clock at night. And I just looked at Dustin and was like, I don't think those were human children.
That's not the first time we've heard that either.
Yeah.
Hey, Lori, can I make a suggestion? If you've got those structures in the back of your property, have you ever thought about going out there and making alterations to them and then taking pictures of them periodically and see if anything happens?
Not really with the branch or tree structures, but we have actually gotten stick structures or stick signs what you would call stick signs in our yard that we've kind of altered before, and we've come back the next day, and they'll move one around. It seems like one's been moved around like deliberately or in a deliberate pattern or something. We've tried that. It's kind of like
I definitely think you need to have somebody investigate your property more. I mean, it just sounds like a great place to do research. If you wouldn't mind somebody being down there, but it just sounds like a great place with lots of activity, and as long as you aren't threatening, I would think they wouldn't mind.
What was that?
Would
Are you
just
there?
hear something? Yeah.
Oh, no, it's like the phone. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the phone went out there for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess we wouldn't be, Well, what was that? We just heard something just knock on our wall here, and I'm like, okay. It's kind of weirding me out. Fires going off outside. I'm like, okay.
Okay, Lori, people want to know how they can get a hold of your book.
Oh,
and
sure.
And what is the name of it? Could you tell the name of it and where they can get it?
Sure. It's called Visitors in the Twilight, and if they wanted to get a copy, I'm selling them for like $10 a piece. It's like $3 postage and handling.
Okay.
And the address is P.O. Box 214, Rootville, Georgia. That's spelled ROOPZILLE, Georgia 30170.
Okay, say that one more time.
Oh, sure. It's they can send $10 plus $3 shipping and handling to Lori and Dustin Chandler, P.O. Box 214, Rootville, that's spelled ROOPZILLE, Georgia 30170.
Great. I bet it's a good book. It sounds like it with all the stuff going on down there.
We've tried to, put a, pretty accurate, chronicle of, of a lot of what's going on around here. We actually did a chapter on just mainly a lot of the cop reports, the police reports that we've heard, and we've heard, oh Lord, good Lord, I mean some really, like we were saying before, just really crazy ones. We think that there was one where someone had actually hit one of these things down here off of Highway 5 that we live off of.
Oh, man.
I mean, someone had called and said that there was this large white male or something or another laying by the side, or someone had called and said they hit a person. And this happened about 7 o'clock in the morning. It was kind of dark. It was last May, wasn't it? And then the police, they said, the police came out there. They did not find anything. And then someone drove by the same area, and they said, well, there's a large white male just laying, on the side of the road with his big feet sticking out of the bushes. And then the police went out there again, and they didn't find it again. And then another person called in, and a third person called in and said that they saw the same thing. And the police goes out there again with rescue crews and everything. They find nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like they hit a white Bigfoot maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
He recovered and crawled off somewhere and decided not to play with cars anymore, I guess.
Yeah, I hear that all the time, that they jump in front of cars, and I think it's a game they play with cars, because they definitely can see the lights and hear them coming. I mean, if they can tell where a trail cam is, they definitely can know of cars coming down the road. But we only got a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you guys would like to say about your what's going on down there before we have to say goodbye?
Well, did you want to say anything?
Is there anything that anything you didn't touch on that you might like to touch on in the last couple of minutes? Any sightings or anything that was really strange that happened?
Well, around here it's just strange all the time anyway, so it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to really single out one single episode.
Right.
But but I mean we've just had so much go on, and it's still going on. It's like the other morning we didn't. I mean, just this last week we didn't want to get out of bed too much. We always have a habit of hitting the snooze button.
Right.
And we were just laying here in between snoozes, and we heard something. I heard something thumping on the window, thump on one window, and then it went down to the other window and thumped on that one.
Like,
we're like, okay,
would you get
we're
up?
now.
They're like telling you to please get up. We want to start watching you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And on the thing about the researchers, I don't mind them coming out here except for one thing. If they want to get in contact with us and try to arrange something, that's fine. But I don't want anybody bringing any weapons out here anymore. If we have researchers come here,
no, you don't want anybody going out there. Right, you're right. They have to contact you and get your permission before they do that. Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to bring any weapons because I don't want these things hurt. They've never been, they've never been malevolent to us. Never tried to hurt anything. I don't.
Just scary.
Yeah, and I don't really want them hurt.
Right. I don't blame you. Well, that's for. I want to thank you two both so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate at the last minute you coming in. And we're so glad that you came because this is what you got going down there is just amazing to hear about. And I hope that you guys can come back again and give us an update.
I would love to.
Oh, sure. That'd be great.
All right. Well, Lori and Dustin, thank you very much. And listen, have a good night and keep us informed, okay?
Okay, we will.
Thanks again, both of you.
All
Have
right.
a good Thanksgiving, too.
Okay,
Yeah, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
All right. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.